Hey, really quickly, this may be a stupid question, but where can I access the official agenda for this evening?
I can email it out right now. It's also should have been dropped in your folders, but I can email you one really quick.
Okay, I just have the draft agenda. Thanks.
Okay.
You're good to go, Doc Miller.
All right, let's call this virtual Crestview Local Board of Education meeting to order for November 11th. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Well, we weren't in tune, but we did okay. Roll call, please.
Dr. Miller?
Here.
DiTilio?
Here.
Mr. Hively?
Here.
Mr. Straney?
Here.
Mrs. Wellman?
Here.
And Miss Downey?
Here.
All right. There's no public participation this evening, but we do have some student achievement awards.
We do. I'm going to start with my two students from October that couldn't be here because of volleyball. So there's Ella. Wave at everybody, Ella. Okay, Ella is a freshman and her teacher quote is that Ella always participates in class discussions. She comes to class prepared and works very hard on her assignments. She exudes confidence and positivity, and she's a huge asset in any classroom activity. All right, and she had a freshman volleyball game the last time we had a board meeting. And then Ashley Hodge was just coming out of practice at the last meeting as well. And she is a sophomore, and her teacher quote is, Ashley is a stellar student who is organized and driven, and she displays impeccable character and is a pleasure to have in class. Ashley, wave at everybody. Okay. And then I saw that Cade, wave at everybody. There you go. All right, Cade is a sophomore as well. He is one of the students of the month for November. And his teacher quote is, Cade is kind, respectful, and conscientious of his work and his words. And he is a great addition to our class. And Ethan Carney, where are you, Ethan? There you go. Ethan, I think, is that your dad? Is that a giant big screen in the background too, or? All right, Ethan is also a student of the month. He's a junior, and his teacher quote is, Ethan is an extremely driven student. He takes great pride in his work. He is also a true student athlete. So I'd like to thank you. I think that's all of the students that are participating this month that I see on there, unless Daryl, you let somebody else in I didn't notice.
Was it Jackie?
Jackie, are you Jackie Wilms?
Yeah, this is Jackie.
Okay, all right.
Sorry, I should have put my last name.
That's okay. So we did have 4 other students that Ethan Fiesel, Cameron Pointer, Alyssa Rance, and Lauren Makel that could not be here. So thank you guys for participating. You do not need to stay for the rest of the meeting unless you are so inclined, but I appreciate you coming. And we have, I'll give you your printouts next time I see you all.
Get a virtual clap there. Good job.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Dr. Miller, we have some Rebel Proud Awards this month.
Oh, okay.
With us tonight are our 2 nurses. What an experience they have had since July. Daryl, stop barking at us. No.
That's my dog.
No, that's okay. What a blessing that we have. Our nurses have worked endless hours to get ready for this school year. They have had us prepared from the start. until this week, we hadn't had a positive case since early August. This week, and that much like the county, much like the United States is right now, the cases are really multiplying. They have worked through their summer break, meeting with the health department regularly. They stay late, they come early, they have 2 rooms, they have multiple set of changing gear. They change more than Cher does on stage to do that. And without them, we have to close. They are busy all day long. They are evaluating all day long, and they're making tough decisions all day long. So it's my honor and the honor of our administrative team tonight to honor our district nurses, first at the 512 building, Nurse Janet Liebheimer, and at the elementary building, Nurse Liza Berger.
Thank you very much, ladies.
Both of those nurses will be recognized tomorrow with plaques to thank them for their service during this pandemic, to do that. And tonight, I know, especially tonight with Nurse Janet, we've been tracing and calling and doing everything else. And she and Liza in the health department are working awful late this evening. So
Everyone out there, you've been exposed. There you go.
Liza, thank you.
Oh, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. It's very kind of you guys. And, you know, we're all working really hard together as a team to do the best we can for these kids and for the staff to keep everybody health and safe. And we'll just keep plugging away.
Janet, any words from you? And it's been a long day.
Yeah, it's a long day. Couldn't have done this without the support of the administration. I know the one day I made a decision, didn't know if I really had the power, but I went ahead and made the decision anyway. And then I called Allison and said, please back me on this. So I really do appreciate your support in doing this. And I know that we're keeping our community, our students, our staff as safe as we can, and we are going to get through this.
We are. We have added a COVID counter to our webpage to be totally transparent. It will be updated daily, updating our active cases and total cumulative cases as we continue to go forward, so that people know where we're at and what we're doing. So I'd like to thank Daryl for helping put that together, and the nurses' idea of putting that together. To do that. They've been very open and honest with people. And believe me, you want a tough job, try telling somebody they can't be there for 14 days. That's very difficult to do. And they do it with professionalism, dignity, and class. And it's not easy, you know, to take people away from something that they enjoy. So, and we don't want to do that, but under these times we have to. And I just know one thing. I know if I'm not feeling well, and Janet tells me I'm going home. So she has that blessing. She and Liza from the health department, they make those calls, and that includes the administrative team. So if we're under the weather and she says we're going, we're going. So thank you both. Dr. Miller and board, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you have before you an item. You have before you a copy of the items considered for tonight's consent agenda. Would any board member wish to have any item be removed to be considered separately? Hearing no such request, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Preston with that. Do we have a second?
Second.
Joel with the second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
DiTilio,
Yes.
Wellman,
Yes.
Hively,
Yes.
Straney,
Yes.
and Miller.
Yes.
Dr. Miller, can I ask one thing? If everybody
Sure.
could just say their name when they motion and they second, so it's on record.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's the end of the consent agenda. Treasurer's request not included in the consent agenda.
Item number 1, I'd like to request the approval of the financial reports and investments as prepared and presented for you.
We have a
This is
motion.
Doug, I motion.
Do we have a second?
Missy, I second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Hively,
Yes.
Graney,
Yes.
Wellman,
Yes.
DiTilio,
Yes.
and Miller.
Yes.
Okay. Item number 2, I'd like to request the board accept a couple of donations, $1,500 from the PTO, that went to middle school public school support, and $115.41 for stay and carry rations towards the turf fund.
Do we have a motion to approve?
Joel motions.
Do we have a second?
Preston will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
DiTilio,
Yes.
Wellman,
Yes.
Graney,
Yes.
Hively,
Yes.
and Miller.
Yes.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Board reports. Career Center report. Mr. Wellman via Mrs. Wellman.
October's meeting was spent really talking about an administrative retirement and funding, really. Nothing too exciting. I can just throw in 2 cents. I was actually at the Career Center. I know that Jeff Gill doesn't really work for the Career Center, but there's a lot going on in the robotics lab right now. He's working really hard to stay connected with like Lisbon, working with their teams, and also staying connected with Crestview. He's also actually still connected with Jared Kalina, is working with him still as well, which is just kind of exciting. They're still working together on the same computer skills, the same STEM skills. And so it's just nice to have that facility still supporting our Crestview students even after graduation. So I just thought that was kind of cool that that's still going on. So the lab over there is really busy still as well. So even with everything kind of shut down, that was just my 2 cents added in on nothing that happened at their board meeting, but. So.
Thank you. Any questions? Student Achievement Liaison Report, Mr. Hively.
No report.
All right. Legislative Report, Mr. Straney.
Not going to steal too much thunder because Mr. Manley's going to talk about it here in a little bit, but we really need to work on getting Senate or House Bill 305 pushed through. It really helps get more funding to local school districts to help bounce back from the loss of tax dollars from COVID. So I'm not going to get too much into it. Matt will dive into that more later on in the meeting. And that's all.
Okay, thank you. Building and Grounds. Building and Grounds met the other day. Basically, we just talked about some some building issues. Some things that are going to come later on in the evening. We also discussed the water situation. I don't know, actually that might not have been formally at Building and Grounds, but we did, we're sort of in dire straits in the water. So that line can't get there quick enough, basically, for us from that aspect of things. Talked about some just general maintenance and cleaning and, issues with the COVID. Anything else I missed there, Joel?
No, I think you hit all the items.
Okay. All right. Any questions on that? All right. Athletic Council, Mr. DiTilio.
No report, but I would like to say a couple things. I think it was, with all the uncertainty we had this year, with all the kids missing practice because of COVID, and just all the chaos and the success that our athletics had this fall, I think was just unreal. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see many of the events. Wanted to get to a couple football games, but they get to watch the junior high play in that awesome field. But congratulations to all the sports this fall for having success. It was just it was a pretty awesome fall.
Yeah, I would echo that. You know, I never thought we were going to be as successful as we were. And, you know, I think like anybody, you get a little greedy, you make August and you're like, well, let's make September, and you make September and it's like, okay, let's make October, and you make October and you're like, well, let's go to Thanksgiving, you know. And obviously we've been remote this week at the high school level, but, you know, for all intents and purposes, you know, hats off to all the coaches and the administrators and, you know, most specifically the students. I mean, you know, I had a couple high school athletes who, you know, had to basically sacrifice things that they would otherwise want to do because they understood the implications that if they got sick during the season, they were on a team that there wasn't a whole lot of bodies for. And if you know, two of them got taken out for any length of time, you might not, you're going to affect the whole team. And I think that was across the sports. You know, the kids sacrificed and were in there for a common good of their teammates. So. Anything else?
Nope.
All right, personnel, Mrs. Wellman, I'm sorry. Had you marrying somebody else there?
Good thing my husband's not home. Okay. Personnel met. We just discussed some issues relating to the building. Should we be shut down because of COVID at any point in time, and how some staffing would work out. We also discussed House Bill 305 that Preston just mentioned in his legislative report, just discussing the specifics of the funding for that. And that's really about it.
Okay. And I just wanted to see if Chloe was going to be assertive enough to let us know that we skipped her there. But student board member report, Miss Downey.
Sorry about that. I just was gonna wait to see how far you go through. That's all right. So mine's really short, but I just wanted to say, especially with the switch from going to in-person to virtual, all the students I've talked to, just really thankful to all of our teachers and our staff right now from being able to like transition so fast and keeping our education as like close as it can to like being normal. And it's amazing, like everything they're like the teachers are doing for us, just with they're basically teaching like double classes this year with the online. So I just want to, on behalf of like all the students I've talked to and like the student body, just thank the teachers for that, because they're doing an amazing job. So that's all I have, but thank you.
Certainly, thank you.
Chloe, I have a question for you, if you can elaborate. I know senior play in that got turned upside down a little bit this week. So talk about a little bit how you guys are still preparing to move ahead.
So at the moment we have, we're doing virtual like Google Meet practices and just going through our lines. And we even talked about when we are able to go back, having the students that aren't able to come back with us until a certain date, someone would walk around with a phone and they could be still on the Zoom meeting while another person there is like acting out the part, someone who's on stage crew. And we even mentioned if all else fails and we're not able to have it on the original date planned, to change it to another date and still keep doing those Zoom meetings and like work on it throughout the year if we can.
Very good. Our group is resilient. So thank you guys for
we
working.
have a lot of different options that we're gonna make sure we can do it, even if it has to change a little bit. So, and thank you for letting us put that on this year. We're very excited about that.
Well, I thank you. I also thank you and the students for recognizing the teachers, because when I'm in a meeting with them, they recognize our students and how they adjusted and been flexible, and they just keep telling me, Mr. M, it's amazing. I mean, everybody just really wants to be here and they're trying to do whatever it takes. So I think they give it right back to you in a good way. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, finance and audit, Mr. DiTilio.
No report. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Policy, Mr. DiTilio.
No report.
Communications, Mrs. Wellman.
No report.
Insurance has no report this month. We'll probably have one next month, though. Business advisory, Mrs. Wellman.
Joel's actually going to give this report.
So the majority of the meeting was spent talking about how different districts and educators have adapted to teaching in school in the COVID-19 environment. Dr. Mook spent a few minutes talking about how the high schools and middle schools and elementary schools in Columbiana and in the county are adapting. David Dees at Kent State spent some time talking about how the university was adapting to teaching in the environment. He also made an interesting comment, remarked upon how this new environment is affecting financial aid applications, which is always kind of a projection towards future student enrollment in the future. And then Jim Buttermore and Jeremy Corbusello of the communities, the CCC, also talked about expressed their hope that they can stay open as long as they can, because much of their instruction is so hands-on, and that's where they give most of their instruction. They can only do so much theory and book time when they're shut down for COVID-19. So they just hope they can stay open as long as they can. And that's took up the whole meeting. Missy, you got anything to add?
Nope, that covers it.
All right.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Administrative reports. Elementary school, Mr. Pancake.
Yeah, I just had one really big item that was not on the on my administrative report. Today, myself, Kim, and Mrs. Gladman got the chance to meet with Kathy Bennett, Mr. Miranda from Silver Apple. Really glad to announce that we're going to continue the partnership together with Silver Apple in Humtown. Last year, it focused on grades 3 and 4. This year, we're going to make it building wide. We're going to go K to 4. And the topic is going to be how to bring Disney to your workplace. So we're going to differentiate it from K to all the way to 4, with different grade levels, have different job opportunities to complete. The biggest thing that this is going to lead into, and Tony and Kathy were both highly excited, it should help us really achieve that STEM designation that we're looking for, not only in the elementary, but probably K to 12, because I know we're looking at extending that to grades 5 and 6, I believe. And then Mrs. Nappy, I'm not sure if they talked to you yet, but looking at some of the high school students touring the facility and using their video skills to be able to do a virtual tour of Humtown for our little ones. So just ecstatic to be able to extend that partnership again. I'm going to be meeting with the team, Kathy, Tony, and Mr. La Mancha on November 25th over Thanksgiving break. So I'm excited to see where we're headed with that. And then our kickoff is going to be December 4th, as long as Mr. La Mancha is available that day. So that's exciting news for us. And I'm really looking forward to building upon what Mrs. Dangerfield has already built there.
All right, thank you.
What was that date for kickoff? November 24th?
I'll be meeting with them November 25th. The kickoff date looks like it's going to be Friday, December 4th.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Middle school, Mrs. Lemaster.
Mrs. Lemaster, I don't believe is with us this evening, but she said just to really highlight within her report, we would talk about how the COGAT and Iowa tests are going at the middle school. We've been bringing the students in, the remote students come in on Fridays so that those students can be spaced out and take their assessments then. But it's been going pretty well. I know we touched base today that they've had to bounce some substitutes around to cover some things so that the licensed teachers can give those assessments, but it's been going fairly well. Other than that, there wasn't a whole lot outside of her report to bring up at this time. Any questions?
I think so. Thank you. All right, high school.
I'm going to add to what Tim was saying about the Silver Apple and Kathy Bennett. And recently the ESC got a grant for the Hellbender Salamander project, and we are combining the 5th grade and the high school entrepreneur class. There were originally 4 schools in it that were going to share the money, but now there's only 2. And I believe I want to say it's us in Lisbon, but it could be us in Southern Local. I'm not exactly sure. So they're going to actually give us more money to do things. And we've talked about getting vernier probes to do some water sampling. We talked about the pond, the creek down in New Waterford, and going to Beaver Creek. And as long as we can keep everything safe and distance for the students, but to have the collaboration between the middle school and the high school class, and some skills about, interpreting water samples and how it looks and how it affects our area specifically. And then Monday this past week, Darren Miller, myself, and Alicia Auer learned a lot of the new graduation requirements, which will be coming to you next month, because some of that has to be locally decided. There's 12 seals, and 3 of them are locally decided, and the rest are already fixed by the ODE. So other than what's already in the report, that's what's going to be required from you for board approval. That's about it.
Thank you. Special education.
Okay, I think every month had some kind of change to share with you. So in keeping with that theme, we have one staff change. Now going to be the kindergarten and first grade intervention specialist due to an increase in numbers in the levels. Just to let you know that we're keeping PACs going in the elementary school. Min and I worked on creating a staff shout out board. So all staff members that are being a PACS example in the building will get their name on a certificate on the board, and then they get to a prize that ranges from a mystery gift to a Dunkin' gift card to 10 minutes of coverage for lunchtime. So that's going well. I think we have 3 staff members up there so far. On a student shout out board next. And then also to kind of just tell you about the Learning This Cool after school program really well. It's grown from 6 to 24 students, and they're doing some fun things. On Friday, they joined the daycare kiddos in the cafeteria, and they made mini pizzas and learning the measurement. So that program is going well too.
All right. Thank you. Athletics.
Yes, as was mentioned earlier in the board meeting, we did have a lot of success this fall. I do want to congratulate all of our teams, all of our coaches, and all of our fans and everybody that's involved with it. It was a pretty exhausting fall, but very rewarding. We won the MVAC championship in football, boys soccer, and volleyball. Did well in all the tournaments. Our 7th and 8th grade Lady Rebel volleyball team, they both won the MVAC tournament as well. So a lot of success. Our girls soccer team did get a tournament win and get to advance in the tournament. So I thought overall we did really well. Emily Hill advanced to the districts in golf, and I'm probably missing somebody, but there was a lot of success out there for the Rebel Nation. Very proud of all of our coaches and student athletes. It was definitely challenging with the situation, but very rewarding. I think more than anything, once the student athletes got to be out on the field, it was sort of normal for them. And I think that was important, that they did have some normalcy, and that maybe that was the only time with all the chaos around. But they did a good job of focusing and having a lot of success. A lot of questions on fall sports awards. Right now, Mrs. Nappy and I have been talking a little bit off and on about it. Don't know where we're going to head with that. I don't feel very comfortable right now having a large gathering for awards. So we might need to come up with an alternative method, but we are discussing it. We did cancel winter sports meet the teams just like we did in the fall for safety concerns. In the winter, assuming that we move forward with athletics, our plan is to play all athletic competitions in the high school gym, which will meet all the social distancing requirements from the state. And we will use the middle school for more of a practice arena for all of our teams. Scheduling has been creative with making sure that everybody gets some gym time, which has worked. And we're also getting some youth gym time at the elementary, which is working out pretty well. So we do have all of that moving along. We also had several student athletes make all-star teams with all the success that we've had this season. We do have a lot of kids being recognized, so that's always fun as well. Other than that, are there any questions for me?
Not for me. Thank you. Lunchroom.
Am I on?
You're on.
Oh, yay. Okay. As Kim mentioned, last week we did a fun lesson with the students in the after school program and the daycare program. I did a nutrition education lesson with them, and they built their own pizzas, and then we baked them all for lunch. So it was something fun and normal kind of for the kids to do. Next week we have a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving planned, and we're going to go over friendship and setting placemats up and how to set a table. And it's just something fun for the kids to do. We also are increasing in lunches and breakfasts. Every day there's an increase. It seems like, it just goes up. The elementary, we're increasing every day. We're just trying to get the kids to come through to eat for free. Remote pickup, we still offer on Tuesdays, Friday. We've been doing pickup and delivery, and we're up to 742 meals on Friday, packing them and getting them out. Thankful for the kitchen staff, bus drivers, everybody who's helping to get the meals out and get the kids fed. So we've just been trying to do everything to get all the kids to eat for free. Any questions for me?
I don't think so. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Technology.
Just real quick, our document cameras for the middle school, high school finally came in. We got those distributed out. So I think it's just in time for what may be on the horizon. So those are portable enough, and they give a microphone and a camera in every classroom that also converts to a document camera. And we are completely handed out second grade up to 12th grade as far as one-to-one devices, and just awaiting the arrival of our Chromebooks for our K and 1. But other than that, that's just trying to keep all the squirrels running in the cages.
Fair enough. Thank you. Transportation. Mr. Burbick, I thought I saw him with us, wasn't he?
Yes.
There he is. You're muted still.
All right. Yeah, I don't have nothing else to add other than what was in my report. You guys got any questions for me?
I don't have any
I'd
questions.
like to say this about Mr. Burbick. We've had a couple situations discipline-wise that he's worked with me with the Fridays. He's made some adjustments en route so that those students could come in and take care of some matters there. It's been refreshing, to sit here, and when we have an issue, you make a phone call and Rich is able to accommodate. So I just want to say before the board, I appreciate his work in that regard.
Thank you.
Thank you. Maintenance, Mr. Radman.
Yes, other than my report, just two things. One is I'd like to say, thank you to Mr. Manley for allowing us to deliver some food out to our children that are outside of our district, but still there are kids. The reward for that is awesome. Just seeing those kids come in, and we go up to the places and they have signs made for us, and sometimes they paint things. So that to me, speaks volumes on what we're doing. And the other thing, today we had water brought in, and for the first time, and everything went real smooth. We had to make an adjustment at first, but we got 5,500 gallons added. So we're hoping that, we can get away with doing that at least,
How many did we get, Jay? I'm sorry.
5,500 gallons.
How long does that usually last us?
Well, we average anywhere from 5 to maximum 12,000 at this time of year. This time of year is a little bit less because we just shut off the cooling towers. So that should help us out. But it was to the point where all weekend the wells ran. And I was kind of worried about the pump burning up. But fortunately, like this morning when I went in, the wells weren't running. It had been satisfied. And today, hopefully in the morning, I'll find out how much more we pumped in addition with what we got today. Now they're scheduled again to come out on Friday and give us another 5,500 gallons, but it went pretty smooth.
Okay, thank you. Superintendent's report, Mr. Manley.
Very good. Hello, everyone, and happy Veterans Day. I'd like to start with that. You know, how blessed we are to be here to have open dialogue, share with our community, totally uncensored, to do that. That's what it means to be an American. And that was given to us by all those that have fought and are currently serving the military. Their sacrifice is country before self. We cannot thank them enough. I'm grateful for our children and staff for putting together a Veterans Day program virtually. Veterans Day, usually we're feeding veterans. We're doing so much to do that. Obviously this year, that couldn't be done. A lot of people contributed to that. All of our administrators have worked beyond their hours and time. I'd like to give a special shout out to one of them, Mrs. Nappy, put together the final product. I know she worked a lot over the weekend on it. It flows very nicely. You'll see different groups from our second graders signing right up to our high school bands and choirs and our middle school student council honoring our veterans. Speaking of that, you know, our folks, and again, our administrators have been working long past their hours. And I want to give a shout out to our parents and families. We were able to move swiftly this weekend because families communicated. Saturday evening, I got an email from a family indicating that their child had tested positive for COVID-19. You don't even have to ask twice. It's 7 a.m. Sunday morning. Nurse Janet, Mrs. Nappy were at school. We walked every room. We contacted traced. We were on the phone with the health department, and we addressed the problem before Monday morning. That happens because everyone is in this together, and we give them a tremendous shout out. So I would like to thank all of them. Mr. Pancake elaborated that we're shooting for a STEM designation. Last year, we were a finalist. All districts that were chosen last year have been to that spot before. And that very seldom does a district get approved on its first time. We are following the committee's recommendations to continue to grow our STEM program so that we are designated a STEM school. We appreciate everyone's help in working together towards that goal, and we thank them for that. An additional thing from athletics, we know in the fall, the league had come out on using passes, which could be a problem for some of our families with multiple kids. We listened to some concerns. I thank Mr. Cusick for extremely advocating to the league that we do it differently. We will be using an online ticketing system for winter sports. It will be pay as you go for the families who are eligible for tickets, and that to do that. And I know Paul has beaten the drums for that to get that changed. We are in a league, we have to follow their policy, but you won't have to buy the season. You will be able to pay as you go, which will be less of a burden on the families. In addition, we were just notified about an hour ago, Career Center students, if one of our schools is ever told to go remote, Career Center students will also go remote and will not report physically to the Career Center in person, and that will begin tomorrow. The Career Center made a decision for safety that if a school district is shutting down because high number of cases, students from that school district will be learning synchronously with their teachers at the Career Center. So
Mr.
there's
Manley.
yes.
And so that means since our high school is remote this week, that all our Career Center students should not report tomorrow?
They should not report. They will need to join their classes online at the prescribed time, just like our high school students are doing here. And we just got that a little over an hour ago. Mr. Corbusello apologized for the short notice, but they've been working with the health department as cases begin to climb, and they made an immediate change beginning tomorrow. So they let their Career Center students know before going home today. So there'll be
Question.
yes.
So if Career Center is on the high school schedule, high school students attending that are remote this week are on schedule. Are we on point with our online students to be on the regular high school schedule now also?
We are not. You mean our ones who are normally like 1:30 to 2:30?
Our students who are either 1:30, yes, 1:30 to 2:30, or they're doing their work at random times. They're just still on their own schedule?
Yeah, they are currently. I know Mrs. Nappy, would you like to address that more? We talked some about that. If we need to go longer about how to address that.
We have put out a document before. If we are going to go longer than this foreseeable short-term solution was because we only thought it would be this week. We have a semi-block schedule set up. The part of the caution that we have to have as a high school is because we have about 90 kids who are, they come and go throughout the day because of the Career Center or CCP classes, and we can't infringe on those classes too. So when we made our schedule, it was to accommodate roughly 1/4 of our high school students who are doing some type of alternative education, whether they're within our walls, but taking CCP classes through Kent or Salem or Career Center. So that's why we are leaving things as they are, because the schedules work for everybody right now.
But if we would go longer, we would reevaluate that.
We would reevaluate it, but again, we can't jeopardize somebody else's college classes that they may be taking at a prescribed time, like what we want to do. So we have to be very cautious how we tread with everybody.
Okay.
I understand that. There was a concern at Superintendent Advisory regarding students who had chosen to be remote, and those students have a bit more of a flexible schedule, obviously, and have since the beginning of the year, choosing to be remote. Then when the rest of the district went remote for this week, the students that had been choosing to be present had to follow a 722 check-in, but the remote students who may be on just a general curriculum don't have to follow that schedule. So if we stay out longer, are we going to put everybody on the same 722 schedule?
I can't answer that, but I doubt it because, and again, part of that reason is the students who are remote, they do not have the in-class labs or participation. So they have different curriculums. So we can't just go from Friday to Monday and then Friday to Monday again. That is an impossibility.
Okay.
But if somebody said to me, we're going to be remote for 2 months, then yes, it would change.
Okay. In case anybody is watching this, I just thought this was an opportunity to clarify that a bit better than we could last night.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And well stated by both parties. So thank you. A couple of other things just to mention real quick. Thanksgiving break is ahead. Our final day is November 24th, which is a Tuesday, and then we are off Wednesday through Monday. So there'll be no classes at all on there. We just finished fall sports a couple of days ago. Basketball season kicks off November 23rd. So that's how quick of a turnaround we have this year. And then finally, a little bit off topic, I invite all of you. I hope we're all feeling good when the pandemic is all over. I know I'm going to state my own personal goal. When it's all over, I plan on getting on a plane, I hope, if we're financially able to do it, landing in Orlando, walking into the Magic Kingdom. There's a little bench outside of Town Hall. I'm going to sit there with a box of popcorn and a Diet Coke and just watch the world go by again. So that's my little hope for the future. And anybody who wants to come is more than welcome, but I'm looking forward to that day for our people. So thank you, everybody. Those sum up my announcements, and we'll begin our recommendations.
All right.
Item number 1, recommend that the board adopt the following board policies, which were presented for review at the October 14th, 2020 board meeting, as so listed below.
Do we have a motion to approve?
Doug, so moved.
We'll give that to Joel. Do we have a second?
Doug, I'll second.
Hey. You were gonna pout there for a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Straney,
Yes.
Wellman,
Yes.
DiTilio,
Yes.
Lively,
Yes.
and Dr. Miller.
Yes.
Item number 2, and I'll digress for a second. Mr. Straney said that Mr. Manley will talk a little bit about the Fair School Funding Plan formula. This otherwise is known as the Copp-Patterson bill. It is cross party lines. As we all know, in 1997, the Ohio school funding formula was deemed unconstitutional and unfair. The state has yet to redo it since 1997. This is a realistic attempt to try to do it and to try to fund schools properly. If it would go through, our financial forecast would be totally awesome to the positive in general terms. We are asking tonight that you support this, and we're going to send this as a school system to our politicians to say, please pass House Bill 305. Specifically for the Crestview schools, it could mean up to $1.5 million additional a year, could be phased in over a number of years. That would significantly change our forecast if that would become a reality. I think that shows how underfunded we are. So, Charlene, would you like to add anything to that before the board votes?
I just think, the funding formula, how it's been, has been a real struggle for school districts. And, with so many districts being on the guarantee, it proves the current formula is not working the way it should. This is a great time and, for all of us to take advantage of a lot of work that a lot of people have put forth to this effort. And as Mr. Manley said, it could potentially resolve, but that is all set to whatever the state would allocate in their biennium budget for school funding. But at least the change in the formula would be a positive movement. And then we would just have to wait and see how much the state is willing to fund the districts, how much, their line item will be for school funding. So it's a great opportunity. I've been talking about it since I became a school treasurer. So that was a long time ago. So I'm looking forward to possibly seeing a reality to this situation. So thank you.
With all that stated, I'd like to recommend that the board approve the resolution to endorse the Fair School Funding Plan as introduced in the Senate companion bill to substitute House Bill 305 and to encourage the 133rd General Assembly to expedite the passage of this bill.
We have a motion to approve.
Missy.
Preston moves.
I'll second.
Preston, you went to second?
Yeah, you said.
Either way.
No,
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
DiTilio.
Approve.
Lively.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wellman,
Yes.
Straney,
Yes.
and Dr. Miller.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Item number 3, I recommend that the board sanction the following as a club sport with the Ohio High School Athletic Association effective for the 2020-2021 season and to allow participation in the 2021 OHSAA meets for indoor track.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Oh,
Um,
didn't get it
and a
right.
second. Doug
Mike?
got the motion there. We have a second, Missy?
I will second, yes.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Lively,
Yes.
Rainey,
Yes.
Wellman,
Yes.
Attilio,
Yes.
and Miller.
Yes. At this point, we're gonna ask for a motion to go to executive session for issues that need to remain private at this point. It should be noted, we may or may not take decision after that. Before we get that motion, I would reaffirm that the next Crestview Local Board of Education meeting will be held Monday, December 9th.
You know what's terrible? None of these gonna work.
I just don't know where that's going to be at this point. We'll have to, I guess, see whether we're going to be back in person or whether we're still going to be remote at that point.
Top of the light or what? Everybody's in there.
So
This
we
car's
have a
total.
motion to approve going to executive session.
So moved.
There we go. Do we have a second?
Well, I'll second it.
All right, and we'll be declared an executive